Hello, I'm back to tell you a little more about the 21-day quest to sensory harmony. We are all into busting myths in love. I think the biggest myth to bust around sensory harmony and sensory experience is simply that we are not having the same or similar experiences from a sensory perspective to those we are in relationship with, those we are living with. I was under the impression for the first 15 years of my relationship, for the first 40 years of my life, that I was having the same or at least similar sensory experience to those I was around. Turns out I really wasn't. And this is such a big myth to bust, to begin to notice and begin to have an awareness and understanding of how what others are perceiving is different to you in terms of our senses. In sensory harmony, we will be looking at 12 different sensory systems that we use, all of us, to perceive our surroundings. Another of the woes, sensory woes, that we experienced in our home as a whole family was mealtimes. They just seem to have endless issues. And as I brought a sensory lens and a way of looking at things through sensory experience to what was going on, it was so helpful. And we could begin to make some even quite small changes so that everyone's sensory tolerances, needs and preferences could be met, and that we could have a more harmonious mealtime together. Here's some of the things that were impacting us in mealtimes. We have some people in my home who need and prefer sauce with every meal, and we have other people who cannot tolerate sauce and others who are fine with sauce or no sauce. We have some issues with visual sensory experiences, and some of the placemats we were even using on our table, it turns out, are too overstimulating. So we removed said placemat, or we were very careful about where the placemat was. Even that made a difference. We discovered that people like the feel of different serving implements, and we made it okay to have more than one serving spoon at the table, one made of wood, one made of plastic, and that made a big difference. We discovered that even putting things away maybe after we've cleared up or after we're doing something with the dishwasher has a sensory impact for people. So even clearing somebody else's dirty plate is a sensory experience that's not tolerable, so we found a ways around that. For one of the members of my home, putting away a glass bowl, the sound of that is not tolerable, so they leave the bowl on the side and others put it away for them to just meet their needs around that. And now we know it's just very easy to do it. Somebody isn't doing it because they don't want to. Well, it's kind of because they don't want to, but it's not. It's because it's intolerable for them from a sensory perspective. Also, proprioception is also another sensory system, even about where people are sitting at the table. So for us in our home, and maybe in many of yours, we came to know that sitting in the same place at the table was better for people. It meant that there was less chance of sensory overwhelm, people felt safer, anxiety was lower, and it worked for us. Also sound. So the complexity and perhaps the noise from many people or more than one person speaking, that had a sensory impact for some people at the table, and we found some ways to handle that so that people didn't feel under pressure to speak, so that they could be quieter, so they could handle what was going on in their own way, whilst other people perhaps could chat but have an awareness of how it was for everybody else. Eating out, going to a restaurant, takes along with it all of those issues and more. So we have ways that we handle that together. We have preferred places, a sort of preferred suppliers list. We look at menus ahead of time to make sure that people's needs and preferences around food can be met. This does all take more time and energy, but ultimately having the awareness and making some of these changes for your own sensory experience as well as for those around you. I was focused for a long time on others, so focusing on mine as well has been so empowering and so helpful, and it's created more connection, more sensory harmony, which overall creates more relationship harmony in your home. Click the link, come and join me in Sensory Harmony for more ideas and to find out more about your sensory experience. I'll see you there.